Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Hi, I am Andy, and joining me in Everything's My Life Partner in all things, Minna.
So today we're going to talk about finances, which is something that we don't talk about a lot. That's because we're not we're not good at it. We're not professionals at it, so we don't talk about it a lot. But growing up, I grew up in Hong Kong, so the closest family that I hang out with every weekend is actually my cousins. Right? So it would be my mother's younger sister's family. So they have 3 sisters, which I play with. And then there's also my uncle, which is my mother's sister's husband. So husband, this uncle, and my dad, I assume they make similar amount of money. My dad's an architect, he's an accountant. I'm assuming they're probably similar. I don't know. But the way the 2 men handle money is very different, right? My dad, I wouldn't say splurge on things, but he does enjoy taking the family out for a good dinner. He buys the nicer cars, right? He doesn't really held back. Whereas this uncle, he doesn't really spend any money. Right? So I'm assuming he probably save more money because he doesn't spend a lot. But then he doesn't have the whole family enjoying things together kind of moment, right? And they don't have the kind of luxuries travel that he does with the family. He just have a pile of money sitting at in a bank account, which I think he passed a few years ago. Assuming that's because passed on to my auntie at this point. But the point being that financial independence or financial freedom, it's deeper than just having a pot of money. It's really about how you enjoy using that money, right?
Exactly. And I think that is put in a really good perspective, because it's really about mindset on how the money is viewed growing up, right? Because it's like, when I was growing up, Minna, like her dad always paid for all the dinners whenever we went out, as, with the uncles, the grandparents. His dad always paid for it. He wasn't the one that made the most money, to be honest. I think your uncle probably made more money. But it was interesting because, it opened our eyes on the opportunities, right? So for I always looked at Minna's dad as the successful businessman. And to be honest, it driven my, giving me a little bit more inspiration to become a better businessman myself. And, I started my own business at 21. And like Minna says, we're not the best in finances. We made good money, and then we also crashed and went bankrupt also. And, luckily we're going back the other direction as we're learning from people on what to do, what not to do. And we can't help everyone. That's really why we went bankrupt, by trying to help the world for people that don't want to be helped, right? And, but it really comes down to mindset, because it's funny, because even now, like you talk about your cousins, they are, I don't want to say frugal. They're just cheap. I'm sorry. Right. Like they're making a lot of money, like the house is paid off, but they don't go anywhere. Right. And now the children don't do anything. It's like, when we talk about living a chronically healthy life and I for independence, it's not about making a lot of money, but it's also about enjoying life with what you're making. And your dad did that really well, and he planned it well, where he's going to have enough to survive until his time's pass, right? And your dad's getting up there, and but that's all planning, and it's very important for the planning side on how you're planning for your future. And your dad was brilliant in that. I have to give him credit for it, because he went on all these world trips, and yet there's still money left over. But one of the things that was really sort of cool with his dad is he inspired in the children that, well, look, all the money he has saved up, he's going to be using it for, during the time, my mother-in-law passed away a few years ago, but, it was spent on all their financial freedom, right? It was never expected to be given to the children. And none of us expected it, right? None of us was saying, well, we're going to, get this big money when they pass away. And none of us asked for it, right? He inspired in us to be successful as we can be for ourselves, right? So there was some good lessons.
Part of how we brought up too is that they managed to be able to financially take care of themselves, so that they're not relying on the children. So that is actually a shift from like a traditional mindset where you expect your kids to take care of you when you got older, but for them it's not that way. So I'm glad that they are financially independent. And I guess the other thing I wanted to say is there's a relationship between finances and health, inversely, almost, right? There's a lot of people that would give up a lot of health in the beginning when they're younger to make a lot of money. But while they're doing that, they're really sacrificing their health. And then when they get older, they're spending all that money to trying to fix their health.
Exactly.
So it is a balancing act, and it's something that most people don't do well. They just don't know that the relationship exists, right? You heard when you were younger.
Yeah, exactly. So many people are hustling, thinking that, oh wow, when I retire, I'm going to have this big goose egg.
Yeah, but then during the time you actually hurt yourself so much that you have to spend more money fixing yourself.
Exactly. You're not going to have the health to retire. So the planning part of it is so important in that aspect too. And for the show, we're always trying to get people to have that mindset, to live a chronically healthy life. There's so many important elements of it, your health, your independence, spending time with family, and the people you surround yourself with, the food you surround yourself with, all the environmental things we surround ourselves with, right? It's all about balance.
Yeah, so I'm really happy that we have Sarah Carlson today with us.
Yes.
Right? She's a financial expert, and we're going to learn a lot from her. And the thing with finances is your relationship with money that needs to change a lot of times. We have a good friend that just recently is working on a divorce.
Yeah.
And of course, husband is a lowlife. He's going to kill me for that. But she has 4 young kids. Correct. And dogs and cats, and she's now she has to go and find a job, and she has to take care of 4 kids with cats and dogs, and financially she's mess. She's a total mess.
Yeah, and we love her to death, and we're hoping the best for her, and we're hoping that when she watches the show after forgiving us, that she's going to learn something from Sarah, because the financial mindset, it's so important. And got a minute left before this segment. When Minna was talking about how her family groomed them with the right mindset with money, well, that was a subtle plug into my family. My family always had the mindset of being poor and complaining about being poor. And guess what? Everyone in my family is poor to this day. Like, because it's just so believe in them. So even when they're making money, they spend it all or buy more things out of their reach, and then they're poor again, right? Because that's the mindset that they think they need to be poor, because having too much money is a bad thing. So, I'm so looking forward to this interview with Sarah, because she's got this mission and such a heart of gold to help so many people around the subject money. But we'll be right back with her after these messages.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. Say goodbye to dullness and hello to youthful radiance. And guess what? For a limited time, you get a free cooling eye cream applicator with your purchase. It's time to unlock your inner glow with coolness. So what are you waiting for? Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Imagine a life where every day is fueled by energy, vitality, and purpose. Where age is just a number and your best years are always ahead. Hi, I'm Andy Nam, certified functional nutrition longevity coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. After reversing my own chronic health struggles, I'm now on a mission to help you live longer, stronger, and of course to look younger. I combine biohacking, cutting-edge nutrition, and stem cell technology to unlock your body's full potential. So no matter where your starting point is, I'm going to guide you toward a chronically healthy life. Ready to reverse aging and take control of your future? Connect with me today. Your journey to longevity starts here. Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. Tonight's guest is Sarah Carlson. She is the founder of Fulcrum Financial Group, and she's a financial powerhouse, like I said, with a heart of gold. She's a Yale-educated certified financial planner. She has spent her career helping successful professionals, entrepreneurs, and couples, that's like us, align their wealth and their values. And she takes this holistic, values-driven approach to money, helping her clients not just manage their finances, but transform their relationship with them. Her passion lies in empowering women to overcome the fear, the shame, and confusion often tied to money, and rewrite them to a different financial story with confidence and clarity. Sarah is also the author of Facing Financial Fears, a book that inspires women to move from fear to love in their financial journey. Whether you are navigating a major life transition or simply ready to feel more in control of your financial future, Sarah brings wisdom, she brings warmth, and practical tools to help you grow. Please welcome the inspiring and compassionate Sarah Carlson. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Oh, hi, Andy. Thank you so much for that nice introduction. That is so kind. This is a wonderful show, and I loved your introduction. You were right on with the need to balance, right? And that's what a healthy life is.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So, Sarah, let's jump right into it. First of all, what got you into becoming a certified financial planner? Like, what was your journey into this to helping people?
Yeah, I started at a very young age. I was grew up in a small town in Colorado, and didn't have access to TV, but read a lot of magazines and books. And at a young age, started following the financial markets when I was very young. And so
Wow.
I got into tracking money market funds, and that was when they were paying really crazy high rates, and that
Good.
kind of spurred me on, where I started learning about the mechanisms behind saving money and growing it.
That's amazing. Most people are watching cartoons or and stuff like that. That's amazing, Sarah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, we didn't even
So
have a TV. My dad was a dentist, and he got a bunch of magazines, free for his reception. He'd bring them
good.
home. So yeah, those are all mine. And yeah, encyclopedias. Yeah.
That is so great. So, Sarah, let's start with the basics because, I think a lot of people, they don't have the basics right. It's sort of like, I mentioned a little earlier how Minna's family's upbringing was very different from my family's upbringing. And luckily, I was smart enough. Well, I don't want to say smart enough. I was lucky enough to have a mentor like Minna's dad to see how money really works. Because if I continued the way my family did, I'll be we would be very poor and complaining how the world is against us and money's evil and stuff like that. Right. So, what exactly is a money mindset? And how does that shape your financial choices?
Yeah, that's a good question as well as a statement, because so much of your upbringing can influence. There's not a lot of
Mhm.
financial literacy in our education system. And so many times we do learn from the people in our lives. And
Mhm.
some of our parents or upbringing is caught up in scarcity, worried
Yes.
about things. And when you have money, spending it. And then others, maybe another form of fear with money is saving it all. Minna was talking about
Yes.
just won't spend any money, and that too is kind of a form of fear. And so the one thing we all have a limited amount of is time and energy. And so
Mm.
in this journey, that is the real currency. So money is a form of energy, and if you can find your own balance with it, it can free you up so you have more joy and appreciation in your day-to-day life. Too many times people, I call it affluenza, people that get caught up in stuff. But the
Mhm.
problem is when if you have a successful uh, month in your business and you make, I don't know, more than you would normally. If you go out and you buy a bunch of stuff, sadly, then you're taking care of that stuff, right? Like
Yes.
you may feel good for the moment, but then once the bill comes in, it's then you're scrambling to pay it. But if you have a plan and a good relationship with money, it's one of the nicest things you can do for yourself. I view your relationship with money as many times a reflection of self-love, that how you can help yourself get to your goals. So a money mindset can easily be altered and changed. And just like I love how you help people live longevity and wellness in their health. Well, your money life is kind of the same way, that if
Mhm.
you can make some small changes, it can have a profound effect on your financial future. So learning to work on your money life and making it simple. It doesn't have to be complex. And that's one of the things that we have systems and process to help our clients and coaching them one-on-one to make incredible progress. So it frees them up. And if anything,
Mhm.
the the biggest offset of that is just happiness
Correct.
and self-respect and feeling calm. I think that's the best reward when we have a client that comes in who's really upset and freaked out about watching um, like their savings accounts, investments accounts, and it
Mhm.
causes them grief. And then through some coaching and helping them put some systems in place, they achieve peace of mind, they sleep better, they have confidence, and they have a strategy. They're working on their financial life, and it's it doesn't take very much effort to do so, but so much of our industry, people are scared to take that first step and make a change in their financial life. So that's one of the things my team and I are set out to do, is to help people achieve their financial balance.
I love that. And I love what you said at the very end, because even before we started the show today, we always like to get to know each other a little bit. And we are talking about the fear of money, right? And it's not really the fear of money, it's the fear of not having money that everyone is sort of having now. So when you're saying the fear of money, what do you think are some of these limiting beliefs that is getting people this fear of money, or this fear of not figuring it out?
Well, I think a lot of people grow up hearing phrases like "money doesn't grow on trees"
Mhm.
and "money's dirty," and if you make a lot of money, that means you're greedy, and so all these negative connotative associations. So when people have money, they think it's bad and they got to get rid of it. When
Mhm.
actually money is a way to create options. And if you can save your money and invest it, and then that money kicks off additional income and money, then you're able to go on more trips with your family. You're
Mhm.
able to educate your kids. You're able to reach financial independence where you're working at your job just because you love it, not because you need
Correct.
your paycheck. You can achieve some freedom and options, and it's healthier for you, not only psychologically but physically as
Mhm.
well. I mean, there's interesting research that people that have a healthy relationship with money and can have a system to put away some of it for the future, but also a system to enjoy it and have those life experiences now while you can. A balance
Correct.
between the two is really, really important.
I love what you said. Like I said, is we stress it so much. It's about balance, right? And it's so many people talk about money, and only bad people have money, or rich people, they never help people enough. But money gives you opportunities and doing so many things. And then, like you said, you have the other spectrum where people are just saving it up for who, to be honest, I don't know what they're saving it for, right? Yeah, right? Because it's like they never actually use it. And then if they pass it on to the kids just hold it and they're not using it. They're not enjoying what money gives you that balance to do, right? And I think what you say is sort of true. Is like sometimes you put in the hard work, it I believe in rewarding yourself once in a while, right? Not spending it all, but I think that is very important to have that balance and understand the importance of what money can do to to help with your life, to make things easier, to give you better decisions for your children's education and stuff like that, but giving better options, right?
Right. Well, and it's interesting because so many people will spend more time planning for a vacation than they
Hmm.
will planning for their retirement. And there's certain times in life that the decisions you make will affect your life forever. So those around retirement, or
Hmm.
you mentioned your friend that's going through a divorce, that's a time. Or
Yeah.
if you have a sudden big change, having a game plan so your money can support you through those changes are really important. And it doesn't have to. So one of the things that we help our clients do is to work on their financial life. So understanding where their money comes from and where it
Hmm.
goes. There's a lot of people that don't like to look at where they're spending it. They don't do an
Right.
audit. But then taking them through that process, it's fascinating. A lot of times they're spending things on things they didn't know, like subscriptions that they
Yeah.
consume.
Right.
There's a lot of fraud out there. They're paying for things
Right.
that they didn't even charge, right? So if you have
Right.
a system in place, and maybe it's once a month looking at that, or maybe
Hmm.
it's once a week as you do, but where you're basically auditing. The more you can understand what's coming in and where it's going out, will allow you to be proactive. Just like Warren Buffett is an advocate, if you can live below your means, you will
Hmm.
never have a problem with money. And part of your expenses need to be putting aside money for the future, because health and age does affect our overall costs. And then also planning ahead for those enjoyable things, whether it's a new car or a family vacation, having a game plan. So one of the things we work with people is being proactive and planning for it and saving for it before they actually even do it. And it's just going through those steps make a big difference in not having regret and then that big doom and gloom. The debt, too many times people can get caught up in debt and they're not aware, like credit card debt is the worst kind of debt, because those credit card companies, they can charge like 25%. And I wish I had an investment that paid that much.
Yeah, exactly.
So helping people understand, like, what do you owe and how much are you spending for the privilege of owing that money? So helping them take a look at it and have a different perspective on it, and then taking some action plan to change that trajectory.
I love that. I love that.
Off, for example.
So for all our audience out there, if you were to, let's say, what's one belief or habit you think that all our audience out there should adopt when it comes to their money? Like, to get into this positive mindset about, where the money's going and stuff like that.
Yeah. So money, pools of money are not equal. Okay. It's reasonable to have a short pool of money, which could be your emergency money. And that type of money should always be safe, liquid, and accessible. So usually like 3 to 6 months of living expenses is reasonable. And you don't want to take any risk with that money, right? The middle term bucket is educating your kids, or saving for a new car, house, or maybe having a new business, or maybe it's 6 months to potentially up to, but you also don't want to be too risky because you want to buy that car, you want to go, get into that new house. But having value type investments that maybe it's a combination of stocks and bonds, or could be more values based and conservative, so it can grow faster, because your biggest threat is inflation. And you and I were talking about how expensive everything has gotten, that you really want, when you set up an investment plan, to have your investments grow faster than inflation. And then your longer term bucket is your longer term goals, like 10 years. And that's the one that you should be really opportunistic about. So that would be like your retirement account through your employer. You want to be more opportune. Time equalizes risk.
I love that. I love that. Well, we're going to take a short break, Sarah. When we dive back in our next segment, I want to talk about how timing is everything, when we should be doing things with finances.
ever felt stuck in your marriage, wondering if things will ever get better? Meet Samantha Kawa, the marriage coach who's helping people transform their relationships in ways they never thought possible. Having saved her own marriage twice, Samantha knows the way forward. If you're ready to rebuild trust, reconnect, and create the love you deserve, visit www.thegems.com today, because the first step to transforming your marriage starts with you.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. Hi, Sarah. So near the end of the first segment, we were talking about, the times for, saving enough for 3 months, 6 months, and even up to 10 years. Are you still there, Sarah? Oh, we're having some difficulties. Hopefully she'll be jumping back on. Sarah, are you there? So we're going to wait until Sarah gets back. But, Sarah was talking about the importance of saving money for enough for like emergencies, up to 3 months, 6 months when things happen. Hopefully Sarah's going to jump back on soon here. But anyways, she was mentioning that it's important to save enough for 3 months, 6 months for emergencies when things happen. And then, of course, saving money for the things that you want to purchase down the road, like maybe getting a new car or saving up for your trip for the vacation and stuff like that. And then, of course, she was also talking about finally looking into the 10, 20 years towards the future, where you want to be. And I think that's where most people fail when it comes down to financial independence or financial freedom, because we are so living in the moment. And and this is sort of speaking from experience from we used to be in California, and we're Min and I, we were in California for 20 years, and we got that whole chasing the Joneses mentality. You make more, you spend more, and depending on who you are, everyone is sort of showing up who's got the nicer car, and who can afford more, who's got the bigger house, right? But that was not a healthy money mindset. And funny enough, it took us until we went into bankruptcy. Like I said, that's another story for another episode, but that's because we're trying to help poor people with affordable housing, and that sort of backfired on us because we found out that they don't pay their bills, and that's why they're poor. Because once again, it's about that money mindset. And even though we were giving them affordable housing, they weren't paying the bills, which caused us to lose a whole lot of money, ultimately causing us to go into bankruptcy. But coming into Texas now, with everything being refreshed, we have changed from money mindset. And one of the things we do is is like what she was saying earlier: do not spend more than what you're making. That is so important. I don't care how much money you're making. First rule is do not spend more than you're making. And I was going to dive into her a little bit more about that. Hopefully we can get her back on. It seems like she's having some internet issues, but I wanted to dive in a little bit more about that, is because a lot of people want to know, well, how much should they be spending per month, depending on what they're making, or how much should they be saving, more importantly, right? And I think a lot of people don't put enough thought about that, because if you got a good thing going, you don't think about that, right? Coming from California, all big tech, .com, there's so many millionaires, 10 millionaires, 100 millionaires, billionaires, right? And the money was coming so easily. A lot of people were spending it as if the taps will never run dry. And unfortunately, like I was speaking with her earlier, things are changing, right? The world is changing, and with technology and everything, people need to worry about their money and how they're spending and saving it, right? I was really looking forward to talking to her about, because this is not my forte. We talk about health. I'm great on that. And, I was really looking forward to see if we can learn something. But anyways, we'll be right back with a quick commercial, and hopefully we'll get her right back.
Hi, everybody. Christy here. This week's Kids Corner, I have another little travel hack for you. One thing that's really critical, especially if you're traveling with kids, is to keep to a regular schedule of eating and sleeping as much as you can. Here's why. Traveling, things come up, things happen, and you're going to probably be doing a lot of activities during the day. But when you keep to that, you try to keep as close to possible as that for that regular schedule, especially in the morning, getting up, normal routine, having breakfast, and then in the evening, having dinner, even if it's at a restaurant, as close to the time you would normally do it as possible. And then having bedtime being as close as possible to their regular bedtime keeps them on an even keel. It helps them sleep, because how many of us have traveled and had trouble sleeping in a hotel? I know that I occasionally do. So the kids, you kind of need to keep that. Plus, it's very good for you too as parents, because traveling with kids can be very exhausting. And when you keep to the schedule, it just makes everything easier. Then when you return from your vacation and you're trying to get back on a normal schedule, everything isn't so disrupted. It's easier to get back into the flow. Have a lot of fun. Enjoy your summer vacation. Ciao for now.
Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. Sarah, I was having a monologue there for a little minute. I was like, man, when Sarah's going to come back? And this is not my specialty. And that's the beauty of life, beauty of technology, but before we finish the first segment, we were talking a little bit about your buckets of money that you should be saving, right? But what I want to talk about is, when should we be doing this, right? Is there a time when it's too early to start, or more importantly, is there a time when it's too late to start, right? Because like you said, a lot of people would say, well, I just don't have any more money to save now. Like, what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, it's never too early to start, and you can always it's never too late to make a positive difference in your future. So
I love that.
It's always important to start now, and an opportunity to. We talked about cash flow, understanding where money comes in, where it's going out, and then the other one is to understand your assets and liabilities. That if you have debt, that you understand what type of debt it is and be able to prioritize the higher interest rates first. But even if you have debt, you don't not contribute to savings or long-term. So a lot of people have employer benefits, and you can use those benefits to help yourself build your financial house. And so many times there's savings programs that then the employer will match, that you put in money and they will match some money to encourage you to save for the future. And some employers will have things like a health savings account. That's like the best pool of money, because pre-tax money goes into that, and then it comes out tax-free to pay for medical expenses regardless of when they happen, whether it's this year or 10 years from now, and you can invest that money. The second most valuable pool of savings would be like a Roth IRA. A Roth is after-tax money that goes into an account, and it's forever tax-free. Not everyone's eligible to do a Roth IRA, so if you are, that's advantageous to take advantage of it. You can save for some fund families for as little as like $25 a month. So it doesn't take a lot to get started, but having money, saving, and then compound. And if you invest in something like an S&P 500 fund, Historically, that has been the type of investment that has outperformed other types of investments, bonds, real estate, commodities. So it doesn't take a lot of money to get started, but it's important the practice, the working on it. So many times we encourage people to start saving, and every single time they don't even miss it. Like they set aside, to save a few $100s a month, and
Correct.
surprisingly, they live the same lifestyle they did before. So many times people think, "Oh, I won't be able to do the fun things I want to do, go out to eat." Yet so many times, if you take action, it's surprising how you manage to make decisions with some of those discretionary. So helping people understand what you have to spend money on and what do you want to spend money on. That is
I love that, because that you're literally reading my mind, because I wanted to dive into the emotional side, because you're helping people think about these things, right? You mentioned, well, at least your bio mentioned that you help a lot of women around the thoughts of money, because a lot of women have negative thoughts around money, right? So how do you dig into their emotional side to help them break free of these negative connotations about money and why they can never get ahead?
right. Well, it's interesting. There's more financial literacy now, especially for women, than we have had before. We're going through a shift over the next 5 years where the majority of wealth will actually in the world will be held by women versus men for the first time. We have quite a few older women that are 70 and 80s coming in because they've never had a seat at the table in talking with their husbands. So we help them, empower them through education and helping them understand the different parts of what they have. So many couples will separate the duties of where one person will handle all the finances and the other person will maybe, do all the shopping, and there's a disconnect.
Correct.
I think there's nothing sexier than a couple's actually making a date to talk about their money goals. Like I encourage couples, just like your parenting plans, just like your health plans, your education plans, money is part of that you become stronger. And the more you talk about it, the more you can align your goals, because you can have anything you want, you just can't have everything, right? You have to make choices. And there's a lot of times people will, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to be happier, right? It's interesting. Not having enough can be very stressful. And we talked about how it's kind of like oxygen. If you don't have enough, it's life threatening. If you have too much money, well, you can breathe easier. But people that tend to have great wealth also have a lot of stress, because then it's about what kind of values do your kids have? What are people with you because of what you can do for them versus, and then the estate planning piece, taxes. Taxes are definitely a huge chunk of expenses. For most our clients, it's the biggest expense. And so helping to mitigate that, where you take what's legally allowed, and it's a balancing act. And that's where you want to be thoughtful with how you save your money and how you take it out. So there's also, as your people accumulate wealth, so usually in their working years, they're able to spend their expenses and then save for financial independence. And then it shifts where it goes to distribution phase. And so that's also a really important phase. So women go through a lot of change, and money is an important part to support those changes. So whether it's financial independence or wanting to have a seat at the table or going through a change of a loss of a spouse, statistically, women are going to outlive their partners. And at some point be financially responsible for making those decisions. So the sooner they can participate in that conversation, the better they're going to be at having self-respect around money, and to demystify it, because it's like a tool. It's almost like you're, imagine having a computer. You got to take care of it, right? The software,
Right.
yeah, and where you're maintaining it. Money also, you have to take care of it. You can't just set it and let it do its thing. How you invest your money also profoundly affects how it will grow. And if you're someone who's fearful about price fluctuation, it's important your money life support that and be a little bit more conservative. So what's wonderful about financial planning is we can do projections for clients. We have lots of tools where we can show them what ifs, well, what if you retired at 55 versus 65? And what if you took Social Security at age 62 versus 67 versus 73? So all these different what ifs. And with planning, a lot of times people realize they have more options than they realize. They forget about what types of how that compounding works over time, and then what other potential income distributions. And some people have pensions from their employers. So all of those are income streams. But when you save money, it is an opportunity to create it to be an income stream that money helps you live and have more choices of how you spend your money. So that WANA bucket, that discretionary bucket, that's the bucket that usually people, the more you can get a handle on that and get away from impulse control. We're in this consumer society, and so many women I know do shopping therapy. I have one client, Amy. She's a really successful artist, and she was making a lot of money and very well known in her field, and she couldn't save money. And when we started working together, realized that, and she was single. But we realized she had a problem with buying luxury goods, and she was single. She didn't even go out. She didn't wear these purses or these beautiful shoes, but she worked so hard. And at the end of the day, she would go home and she'd shop because it was a way of self-soothing. She a way of medicating herself with stuff. And so what we were able to do, and she worked with a therapist, and now she, instead of buying stuff, she'll go on a walk with her dog, and she soothes herself in a different way. And as a result, the money she was spending on these luxury goods that she never wore, she's channeling towards her retirement. And she also sold the things she had bought that she stored in a closet. She was able to pay off debt by selling those things. So she changed her lifestyle. Her overall happiness has shot through the moon. She recently moved to Maui, and she has choices that she never had before, because before it was almost like unconscious shopping, right? And you probably see that where people can do unconscious eating or drinking or other things, right? It's like, what are you medicating yourself with financially? Getting a hold on that. But you have to be able to look at your situation, right? And it takes courage to kind of take those steps.
I love that, because basically, you're helping people change their mindset around money rather than spending it all upfront. What are the possibilities down the road? And for your example, that was great. Now where the money was for that shopping therapy, now it's going into buckets that's going to help her live a happier life down the road, which is give her more possibilities and more freedom to choose what she wants to do down the road, like going to, moving to Hawaii now. That's probably something that she never thought she can do back in the day. Right. So
exactly. Right. And another example would be.
Go ahead.
Right. Well, and so my client Shirley, who was going through a divorce, when she came in to work with me, she had read something I'd written about going through divorce, and she was tied to her house, but her house was so expensive to maintain. I remember in one of the first appointments, I said, you've got to sell the house and get something smaller. And you would have thought she took a bullet, her whole body, everything, her whole was tied up in this huge bin, which she didn't. Like, our system is. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
your connection's not too good there, problem. Sarah. We're losing you a little bit.
So the what was interesting.
Right. But Sarah, for everyone out there that wants to learn more about investing early, learning more about changing the money mindset, what is the best way for people to reach out to you? All right. I think Sarah's having problems with her internet again. But anyways, that is her website right there, fulcrumfinancialgroup.com. And you can reach her at scarlson@fulcrumfinancialgroup.com. That's her email. And she's got this amazing book that she has written to help women with their finances. And it's called facingfinancialfears.com. You can download it. You can click on that link there on a QR code. That'll bring you right to the Amazon link to pick up that book. And of course, if you want to learn more about what she does, please follow her at facebook.com/lovemoneyjournal. So please reach out to Sarah when you can with any questions. That is what her passion is, to help you retire comfortably, to help you save money, to live a healthier, chronically healthy life. We'll be right back after these commercials.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science, at longevity, at exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Are you ready to finally unlock your biggest dreams and live the life you've always wanted? I'm Candice McKim, and I invite you to join me in the manifestation magic process. Whether you're dreaming of that perfect business, financial freedom, or more joy in your life, it's all possible. With Manifestation Magic, you'll shatter common misconceptions that keep holding you back, learn the secrets of attracting your deepest desires, and activate the magic of sacred synchronicity. Head to CandiceMcKim.com and start creating the life of your dreams today.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. And it was a shame that we had such a bad connection with Sarah, because she's got so much wisdom to share, and she's got so much passion to help all the people out there to change their mindset around money. And like I said, to help them save for a healthier retirement.
Yeah, I love how she's changing your perspective, because I think a lot of us, me including me, right? We learn our relationship with money from like TV, which is obviously the wrong thing to learn from. Like they're always saying that the rich guy is evil, like the billions.
Yeah, that's Scrooge McDuck,
Right, the rich guy is always evil, but that's actually not the case. There are plenty of wealthy, nice guys that's actually helping reshape the world. So it's all just how we're influenced by the media at some point.
Exactly. Well, next week we have a new friend that I met. And her name is Lee Wynn, and she's inspiring because she's one of the first women to I believe, climb Mount Everest. So it's going to be very interesting to have her as a guest. She's an inspirational coach. Please join us here every Friday at 7 p.m. CST on e360tv.com in the Vitality TV network. Or, of course, catch past episodes on our YouTube channel at Chronically Healthy Life.
And you have a free book?
Yep, I got a free book. It's still going to be free for a limited time only. And you can get it at longevityisthenewlword.com. You know, this gives you a lot of hints on what I've learned over the last 13 years to boost your body to a younger state. Like I said, it's only free for a little more period of time. And of course, please set up any consults with me if you want to learn a little bit more about health at longevitywithandy.com.
Awesome. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.